It's a perfectly fair question. Joel's core philosophy is that the world should be fed through homesteads and small farms where people all have a direct relationship with their farmer. He, supposedly, believes that to the point where when he is challenged about the ability for that model to feed cities with millions of people, he will question the need for cities to exist. The problem with small farms, especially these small, diversified, professional farms that Joel talks about, is that they're burnout factories that trade one type of exploitation for another. The big factory farms or industrial farms or whatever the heck people are calling them these days, they beat the hell out of their land. Small farms, they trade the beating the hell out of the land for beating the hell out of people. Right. Small farms, almost as a rule, do not generate enough revenue to cover a whole lot of overhead. And by overhead, we're mostly talking about labor. The labor required to grow the crops, administer the farm, do sales, marketing, supply chain management, all stuff you have to do in a small farm business that goes from growing stuff all the way to direct consumer, again, which is what Joel advocates. The farms themselves don't generate enough money to cover that overhead, so if you're going to have this farm work, then there's two things you can do. Number one, you can rely on volunteer labor, or two, you can have a massive inheritance or some other big source of off-farm income come in to cover the cost of hiring the people, paying the people that you need to do what needs to be done in your operation. If you don't have those, then you burn out after about 10 years. It's like clockwork. People start farming in their early to mid 20s, they farm for 10 years, then some change of life event happens, like they either get married, or they have some kind of medical issue, or they have kids, and then it's not tenable anymore. So it's not a coincidence that the farms that you see that are left, that are small farms that seem to be doing well, tend to be farms like Joel's. Joel being someone who has a 7-figure at least inheritance and has gotten over $1 million in grants from the state, while he tells everybody else the government needs to get out the way and you need to go it on your own. You look at who's behind some of the other successful small farms. It's celebrities, it's retired doctors and lawyers, it's wealthy podcasters. You can even look at Blackbird, which, while it's still a small farm, is not actually viable. The $1 million a year we do in revenue is not enough to cover all the hours that me and Mason and Dan and Brian work. It's enough to cover the work of our employees at $20 an hour. But our model doesn't work until we get to the point where we can A, hire in new farmers to work at least $50,000 or $60,000 a year and not have to do everything by hand like you see us doing now. And for us, the managers, the partners, whatever, to be fairly compensated. That doesn't happen until we get to about $6-7 million a year in revenue. We're a small farm right now, but not because it's great to be a small farm, but because we're not rich enough to start out as a larger operation. The whole reason our business exists is to prove that you can do farming at a larger scale without turning into a bastard. But anyway, that's the core issue with that whole philosophy of small farming. For small farming to feed everybody, then there has to be millions of small farms. But the problem is small farming burns out 90% of the people that get into it. So the thing that drives me nuts about Joel and people like Joel, because there's a lot of them, is that their philosophy monetizes the space between there needs to be millions of farmers to feed the world and only 5% of small farms actually make it. And there's nothing about what they're doing in that gap that lowers that attrition rate. They're just hyping up people to walk into the same buzzsaw that everybody else has been walking into. Joel has people read his books, buy his courses, attend his seminars, go to his conferences, knowing damn well that 99% of them ain't gonna make it. Because at the end of the day, they don't have what Joel had, which is a multi-million-dollar inheritance that he was able to leverage into buying a meat processing facility that's the center of how he made his money before he started running his mouth. But he won't admit that that's how he made it, so he's making up this story about himself and telling people it's a blueprint that they can follow. But it's a blueprint he's never followed. Which I guess is really the big issue with Joel's philosophy. I don't think he actually believes it, because he doesn't do any of the things he tells everybody else to do.